Now, each community board has loosely 20 minutes, so and that should allow us a bit of time for questions and comments and things like that. So if you would like to start off, I'm sorry we haven't got everyone back in the room yet, but
that's all right. I haven't got a hat for this occasion.
That's all right. We know what your hat is for this.
Yes. But in front of you, I've put a few comments about getting closer to the community, finding new approaches to community outcomes or community governance. What have we got? What works? What's possible? How do we get the community to grow and flourish, to become more resilient and caring for all in our community? Looking for a community empowerment and the flexibility to adopt new ways of doing things. And it's about working with the council to become a strong leader. Providing services at an appropriate level and community-based. People in our communities empowered to design and deliver services and play an active role in our local communities, single and joined up. We are all valuable residents in our community. And I just wanted to outline there, down there and under those bullet points, that there are some truly amazing things that are happening in our community at the moment. There are others as well, the likes of the opportunity to have the contract for the Akaroa Wairewa award based locally. But these are just some of the things that are important, where we're working in partnerships with people and getting on with the job. And at the same time, I must say, having fun and understanding the issues. So it really is what community governance is all about. So we can also celebrate those other things, like the repair and reopening of the museum, the Gaiety, and hopefully the service centre shortly. And I could not forget to mention the stunning repair of the almost completed Banks Peninsula War Memorial, and the funds that Council contributed to us were very valuable. It is an amazing war memorial, and it had its coat taken off, or its glad wrap taken off for Anzac Day. Looked superb, and the scaffolding's gone up again to complete a few more tasks, so it will be totally finished shortly. So look at this here. This is a pile of plans, and I live in I could do with a bit of ultra-fast broadband in my area, and I've downloaded them. As you can see, there's a number of places there where I've looked at them, and there's a couple there that are very important documents, I think, that everybody should have a look at. Strategic Policy and Planning Combined, and the Infrastructure Strategy 2015-2045. They are great reading, or good background. I shouldn't say great reading, but they're good background information to what we're doing. And they're important in moving ahead. So it's good background reading, an important strategy outlining the significant activities: water supply, wastewater, storm water, flood protection and control works, roads and footpaths. Emerging issues and increasing community expectations are going to have considerable impacts, particularly for our small communities. And we need to find a way to fund some of those activities that is fair to all parties. Someone who lives in the city gets good access to water supplies and wastewater. In a rural community, we have to supply our own at increasing considerable cost. An issue that someone owning or buying rural land does not always understand. Roads are also vastly different, and this is one of the major issues that rural ratepayers continue to raise. There is maybe only perception that standards are, only a perception at this stage that standards are declining at a considerable rate. So the strategic policy and planning document, there was one matter that we actually left out of our submission, and I have included that on the back of your paper. I think you've got one there. I haven't actually got it here in front of me, but it talks about page 21 and the ecological surveys, and have I copied in the activity management plan that covers there the $80,000. Is that there in that paper? Yeah. Right, so that's one that we missed out of our submission. It's very important. That support package to landowners is important to the success of the process. And I've attached some pages from the report from what is on our property. And if you go back to this is Appendix 1 that I talk about earlier in the document there that talks about that policy and the funding in our area on our property. So if we go to the submission then, and it's we thank you for the opportunity to submit on the plan, and there are a number of things that how do we get our submissions to our annual plan? Well, they actually come from several years long-term plans that roll over each year almost and end up in this long-term plan once again. So it is challenging for us, and we hope that some of those are taken into consideration. In particular is the seawalls further through the document. You'll see that's on, we should have actually numbered the page, it's the third page in, seawalls there, talks about harbours and marine structures and the activity management plan where there's reference to only 2 seawalls, and it's noted that most of the other seawalls are included in other activities, parks and transport, but they're not even mentioned in those activity management plans when you actually look at them. But the seawalls, as it is in the Tonkin-Taylor report, are an amazing concept or amazing barrier, not a concept, they're an amazing barrier that has actually protected our towns and our small settlements over many years. Not much work is done on them, and we need to see that improved. And that we can't retreat, but we need to work through those issues anyway. And we're looking at perhaps prepare a database of seawalls and their current conditions so that funding can be allocated in subsequent years of the long-term plan and maintenance renewal where necessary. I mean, all of these issues here are important. You know, the wharves and the jetties, and we've got some communities that are very excited about being able to become involved in those and partner with other organisations to get them back together and using them as they were meant to be used, not being locked behind a fence, as a number of them are already. The Akaroa wharf renewal, well, our old wharf, it's a historic wharf, unfortunately, and we're asking that some of that time is brought forward and we start planning for that much sooner rather than later. It needs to be done, but it's going to be a challenge, understanding that it is a historic wharf. The regional parks down under here are very important activities for our Banks Peninsula community, not only for visitors, but they also encourage us to work together with those other landowners beside the regional parks, and it's worked as it's an amazing relationship that gets joined up, as I mentioned earlier in the earlier pages of that. And we're concerned to hear that there is a less of a budget being allocated to that. So you see that we support there the Spine of the Lizard project, Rod Donald's Trust's Spine of the Lizard project. It may have a change of name shortly, but it runs around the top of the hills and connects parts of Gibby's Pass round to the tops of Hilltop, sort of in that area. So we're seeing some amazing walkways being introduced in that area. And if you are a land manager, and as the City Council is a land manager, that we hope that they will look at their operational pest management programs for the regional parks. We have to manage our weeds on our properties, and so should the council and theirs. The Lake Forsyth, I don't think we could actually find that in the long-term plan, and I asked at a meeting recently where we talked about capital projects, and I think I was told it was an operational matter. But the issue of the opening of the lake of Lake Forsyth to Rota Orira needs to be, well, it needs to be concluded. This issue of the joint application resource consent for this has taken a number of years, and it continues to roll on. So we just hope that there's a considerable amount of funding there to resolve that issue. Stormwater renewals, well, there are issues everywhere throughout the city as well, but they're also in our area where we've got very old stormwater systems and many no stormwater systems. And Little River there, as it talks about, there are problems in the Little River area. Over the page, we put Little River, talk about Little River again and place-based planning. If the last sentence in that little box there, the development of a strategic plan for the Little River community, would reflect the preference for place-based planning as discussed in the strategic policy and planning. We've just started in the last week, formed a small group that are looking at Little River. Little River has had several plans, many plans undertaken over the years and sort of just sit on the shelf, have never been picked up. So we did found some funding last year, put an issues and options document together, and want to progress that further towards a suburban type plan or a place-based planning document. It's got some amazing people on it. Mick O'Donnell from the Canterbury District Health Board, he was with the City Council, Banks Peninsula District Council, Suzanne Valance from Lincoln University. There are a number of professionals there that a planner from the City Council as well that's giving us a hand to do it, or works on contract with the City Council now and again. So we've got lots of information, and that we need to get on with the job and come up to something that will hopefully feed into the long-term plan down the track. So in relation to the Cycleway, we would like to think that the Cycleway is actually integrated into this Little River plan as well, that it seems to be important that we have everything all working together and not things and not fractionated. French Feast, over there we follow, and I've just got here Akaroa is 175 this year, and there's a number of programs that are going on. Akaroa Area School, they have a production in June. Museum has an evening of readings from 1840. There's a whole host of events taking place, and you can have a look on the Akaroa.com site. But this festival needs some long-term planning around it, and some ongoing funds around it. Roads and footpaths at the bottom of the page was a disappointing document for us when we read it. It didn't sort of give the feeling that we were part of it. And perhaps it reflects on, once again, activity management plans have been done away from us as communities, and we haven't had an opportunity for input and understanding of what those issues are. So we hope that that will be addressed down the track, and there are some things that we're actually asking there to be done. For example, the roads to be ranked in order of priority, so that they could receive the first priority funding. We also need to look at paper roads and policies around those as well, working with the council. So, look, I appreciate the opportunity to make comments on the long-term plan. We do have concerns about the submission process for the long-term plan. We need to have more information earlier and involvement in the activity management plans. They were in December 2014, and many of them we sort of didn't find until March, and it was very difficult. It is very difficult to identify any matters directly relating to Banks Peninsula. Really has become a challenge. But apparently was at some stage you could put in Banks Peninsula, or you could put in Akaroa, and it would bring all the Akaroa sites up, in the formation of that plan on the website. But we can't do that any longer. We have to troll through everything. But look, I've really thoroughly enjoyed reading these, amazingly. And some of the other board members have as well, and have contributed to things. Perhaps one thing I haven't talked about is cemeteries, the dead end. So we'll make this the dead end. We're having issues around our cemeteries. Akaroa has got no cemetery space left for its residents that are there, other than those that have already booked plots and things. So we would like to progress some sort of a discussion around the cemeteries and how we might move forward. It's no good being told you can go to devotionals when you live in Akaroa. You'll want to be where you live. So that'll be the dead end.
Excellent, thank you. And I was surprised when you said that you had to download, because I thought that these ones had been made available to community boards, but obviously not.
Well, there's one in the office. I didn't pick it up. I picked it up. I took these home. I mean, I downloaded.
You mean they didn't make them available for individual?
They were. Yes, they were in the office. Yes, they were in the office.
Yeah.
I could have picked it up, but I found this. I mean, I had these, so yeah.
Right. But by the time you found out about these, you'd already printed it off.
Well, these aren't in it.
Yes, they are.
All of these activity management plans?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't aware of that. Sorry, wasn't made totally aware to me that that's where they were.
They're not in it. Sorry?
Not in the same detail.
No. They've got the list of them and the what's been changed and what's been added.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't. I wasn't aware that it had much in it.
Okay.
So I trolled through these. So I mean that just shows that perhaps we weren't well enough informed about what was available to us as a board.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly true that the activity management plans have more detail, but that doesn't mean they have more information. Yeah. Anyway. But, all right, so question, Andrew.
Just two very quick questions, just to drill down a little bit further, Pam, into a couple of points that you made, and thanks for the very full submission this afternoon. Just coming back to the last point you made around the cemeteries.
Yes.
What would you be looking for there? Would that require a review of the cemetery's master plan or the purchase of land?
Well, yes, it would.
What do you think the solution
both
might
of those, most definitely both of those, to explore ideas of what we might do, where we might go. If it is a dead end, we would like to find a resolution to it.
Okay, great, thank you. And then just coming back to the comments that you made about strategic planning for Little River.
Yes.
The board is requesting that funding be included. Do you have a ballpark figure that you would be looking for to do that work, and is there anything that you would prioritise that over? So if we were going to put that in, is there something else that you would move further down the list to make way for it?
So this is about funding for the suburban style plan.
The Little River suburban style plan, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't know what sort of costs goes around a suburban style plan, but we already have a lot of information around it that's been drawn into the issues and options document that's available, and it identifies all of the the papers that have been prepared. So it's not envisaged that it's going to be a huge costly process to do it. I mean, there's already been a lot of consultation with the community. There will need to be some consultation around it, yeah, it's not. I'm sorry, I can't just pull the document out, but we have got a document that supports many of those things there that we're talking about in this document here. And another surprising piece of information is that when we had our first meeting, we find we've got a Papakainga area in Little River that covers quite a considerable amount of land. We need to understand what that actually means, and what may not impact on anybody, but we don't know what it means. So the district plan is impacting on Little River. Plus there's some land change. They've changed the names from commercial development to open space, which is of concern. So there are district plan work that needs to go on around this suburban style study.
Phil?
Thanks, Pam. Just with regard to the Cycleway,
Yes.
my understanding is that it's really just the last piece towards Little River Township that needs to be completed.
Well, yeah, I think that's all that does need to be completed, but we haven't been kept up to speed with what's happening.
The
Phil.
developments, yeah, and then the link, of course, with the city one. I think it's called Quarryman's Trail, which comes in from Horsell Road.
Yes, yes.
But, yeah.
Yep. Paul?
Quick one, just around your, I just noticed in your submission there's a lot of stuff around the regional and neighbourhood parks.
Yes.
And I just wonder if there's some systemic or inherent issues, or is it just funding that are the problems?
Well, some of these parks have funding and some of them don't. They've got management plans around them, like, for example, the Garden of Tāne has a management plan around it, so has Stanley Park. Takapaniki, we're just underway with a reserve management plan. But the Cairns Bay has some fun. They have a camping ground. They have generate their own funds. But we noticed in the activity management plan that there was a considerable amount of funding allocated to a Cairns Bay. So the question was, who was it for? I mean, should the reserve management committee, the camping ground, should they be funding the things that are happening within the camping ground, rather than calling on the city council to provide some of those assets, or whatever it was allocated to in the plan? But of course, a Cairns Bay is much more than a camping ground. It is a visitor site as well, tourists and visitors. So yes, and we were just looking at these small committees that didn't get any funding, needed to have a little bit of funding that they could do. It's good to have a little bit of money that they can spend each year to do a project or two, and have it year after year, not 1 year have it like the likes of the Garden Tāne. It had it for a number of years, and then there was none 1 year. So it's better to have funding. And the suggestion is that perhaps some funding be allocated to the board, and that we have the opportunity to allocate it, working with those reserve management committees to allow them to do some work.
And are we adequately looking after the weed problems in the reserves? You sort of touched a bit on the weed issue.
Well, the weed issues and those ones, yes, certainly. In the Garden of Tāne, there's a fine team of people behind that. They they get so excited about being able to work together and do things. And yes, they've got weeds, and in fact, they've probably got pests as well. They've got possum traps and things dealing with that. Stanley Park also, they're very passionate about their gorse and their broom and those other weeds that suddenly appear. So yes, they will be doing that in their reserve management plan. In the one with Robinson's Bay, there's a lovely reserve in Robinson's Bay that's got amazing signage and things in it. A place worth going to see, not terribly well known at this stage. A considerable amount of funding was suggested to that site, and then we have got the Robinson's Bay Wharf or Residents and Ratepayers Association that have said, hey, look, why have they got all that money? We could do a bit over here. Why not share that funding? And you'll hear from them later in the week sometime about how they would like to share the funding that's been allocated to that.
Jimmy?
Thank you, Mayor. One question. Regarding to the regional park, the table 2.1, the prioritization of spend due to reduced budget, and your board particular mention would like to be involved in the prioritization work, and you have a kind of support less focus on planting, but would like to spend in more for management, weed, and pest control. My question is, except these items, have any other project or any other program or facility you also would like to get involved, with the staff, review the prioritization, prioritize which project can be the default, which project is urgent need, have any this intention or not?
In regards to this table 2.1, prior to...
Not only this one, I mean overall.
Jimmy, I don't understand your question.
My question is because table 2.1, they have a prioritization of spend due to reduce budget.
Yes.
I mean, whether some other project or other facility to also have a review the prioritization.
Now, this is in relation to regional parks.
Yeah.
These are the likes of Teoka, Misty Peaks, we're referring to on Banks Peninsula, really, and is looking at those parks that are around us that are important to our communities and where costs could be reduced and be involved in that process.
Thank you.
Okay. Look, thank you. That's the 20 minutes. So I'm just mindful of the fact that I don't know whether are you staying till the end or
yes, I am.
Oh, you are.
Yep.
Okay, well that's fine. That's
Couldn't
great.
miss out on you all having your input.
Excellent. Thank you. So I mean, if things go well timing wise, then we may be able to get people around the table again right at the very end. Right. So the next one.